Well, Dave, thank you again for 5 years at Point Rental.
No problem, Scott. Good to be here.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you flew away like across the entire globe just for this podcast exclusively,
correct,
which I really appreciate. Back when you got hired, we didn't have these like new hire interviews where we would kind of talk about like what you did before coming to Point Rental.
Yep.
So we'll take the opportunity and ask you, what did you do before coming to Point Rental?
Well, it's a long way back. I'll try and remember. I was working for a company called Good Data, Good Data, as we say in Australia.
Oh, yeah.
That's a business intelligence platform based out of San Francisco. And the idea of working, in Australia for a US company was already familiar to me.
Yeah.
So that was a really nice fit.
Okay. So how did you hear about Point Rental? Because, I mean, you did say that you talked to US, but there's obviously a bit of a geographical challenge there.
Yeah, I actually answered an ad.
Oh.
Wayne had run an ad for the position, which just came across my desk. And I guess because of that connection, I was immediately intrigued. And I was like, oh, yeah, another US company. I hadn't had the greatest experience at that other company in terms of the way that the two regions interacted.
Yeah, definitely.
It was very much a kind of bad parent, good child relationship. And that was pretty frustrating. So one of the things I really wanted to make sure I got right with this role was to, and when I talked to Wayne initially, it was all about, how do the two regions connect and what's communication like and what are the expectations in terms of the relationship. So all that stuff is really important.
Oh, yeah.
As a foundation for me.
Yeah, no, 100%. So when you first started working at Point Rental, what was your typical day-to-day? What was your job role?
Well, I was hired on as the regional director.
Okay.
And at the time, the team was pretty small. It was 4 people in the team.
Wow.
We're now at nearly 20. Fluctuating around the 20 mark. So we've grown a lot.
Yeah.
Over that period of time. But essentially, my role has evolved from, I guess, being focused almost exclusively on growing that team, getting new business, and then as the years have gone by, I guess my remit or my purview has become a bit broader. I'm involved in the ELT now, you're part of that team, and so that kind of takes my thinking out of the region and onto some a lot of global stuff, including strategy. So that's been a really nice evolution. I think some of the things I've been able to try out in the Petri dish in the region. So, sorry, folks. You're not an experiment, but some of the things we've been able to try out at small scale, we've then been able to think about how could that work at a larger scale.
Yeah.
So it's been really nice to be able to take kind of company strategy, bring that back to regional and vice versa.
Yeah, no, 100%. So is there any non-work related hobbies or interests that you have that you feel like you could probably just talk about for hours and hours?
Well, I do like doing a lot of DIY work. You know what DIY is? Do it yourself.
Yeah. So you're like you have like a shed and you're doing like construction or something.
Right. Yeah. Exactly like that.
Oh, just like that. So like, what's the most recent thing you've built then?
Well, right now I'm working on a fire pit area for my back garden.
Oh, that's nice.
So that involves some paving and some planter boxes and planting trees and all that kind of stuff. So pretty excited about that. In fact, I was just about to get started on that, and I had to leave for this trip.
Oh yeah, well, I mean the podcast priority over the fire. That's
right, I had to stop everything, run to the airport, get in a plane, and sit right here off the plane. So yeah, I can talk about stuff I'm doing in my house for a long time.
Oh yeah,
my kids are the other project.
Oh, that
has been going for nearly 18 years now.
That's a very long-term project.
That is a long-term project, and it changes every day, every week, every year, every month. So that's exciting. But yeah, I can talk about my kids for a long time, depending on what's happened during that particular day.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they give you plenty to talk about.
Yeah.
So let's pretend that either you have a new hire in y'all's division or just a new pointer in general. What would be like the number one advice that you would give someone who's just starting at Point Rental?
That's a good question. I think that the company culture is such that there are no there are no wrong answers really. We're all about trying new things and having the courage to put forward one's opinions. I think is really important. Certainly, as the regional director, I value the input from everybody in the team, no matter how long they've been around or what their role is. And I like to think that everybody coming into the business should be able to give their input, and that's why we hire people, right? To bring new, fresh ideas and challenges to the business. So I would encourage every new pointer to be not super vocal, but to not be afraid to bring their ideas forward. Even if they fall flat sometimes, that's part of life. But to keep at that, because I know that from all the way from the top down, the business is really all about improving what we do and being innovative, not just in terms of the products we make, but in the way we think and the way we work with each other. So I think that's super important.
Yeah. I mean, Pointer Rentals, we definitely value empowering, our, the pointers, and taking advantage of that is definitely something that new pointers may not realize that. No, you really can actually, change a lot in the company.
If we think about the idea of family, which I think resonates very strongly throughout the company, within our families, we always feel free to speak up and say what we think, and I think that's true at Point of Rental as well.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. So we're getting around to the very end. This last question. Let's pretend.
Oh, this is going to be a good one.
So, is there Oscars in Australia? Is that a thing? They call them the Aussies, maybe?
We have something which is kind of bad called the Logies, which is like a TV thing.
Oh, is it like?
But I know what the Oscars are.
All right, then we'll just pretend that we're at the Oscars then. And, you won the award, and, you're ready to thank all the people who got you to where you are today. Because, again, you're a global director. You've been here for 5 years. That's quite the accomplishment. So who do you think that you can thank to get you to where you are today?
Well, since we're at the Oscars, it's got to be the Best Director award, right?
Yeah, true.
Naturally.
Ooh. Yeah, 100%.
And so, I'd like to thank my agent. No. Obviously, Wayne Harris has been a big part of my journey. I report directly to him. We speak, every day, more or less. Definitely catch up via Zoom every week. And now that COVID's gone, I see him, 3-4 times a year.
Yeah.
And he's been, I think, I often tell friends and family that I think I have the perfect balance of autonomy and support, and so I'm able to do the things that I think are important as I see them, and I'm also able to bounce stuff off Wayne all the time. So I would definitely thank Wayne, and in fact, Wayne and Terry have been super generous to me, made me feel like part of their family. So that they are definitely people that I would want to thank. The other, not a person, but the other group of people is my direct team in the Australian office. Those guys work so hard and they care so much about our customers that, it's hard to kind of single out anyone particular. Yeah. But I think as a cohesive unit, those guys rock, and, can depend on them. I've been away from the office for a week as we speak now, and everything is just running really well there. And, I'm not concerned that while I'm away, everything's going to fall apart or whatever. So those guys are absolute rock stars.
Yeah, no, 100%. And of course, also me on top of that. I know you probably...
That was a given.
Yeah. We don't... Honestly, it didn't need to be said, but...
I mean, you got me where I am today because you invited me here from Australia to get on a plane, come to Dallas, and here I am. So if it wasn't for you, I would not be here today.
You're welcome. well, anyway, Dave, again, thank you so much for 5 years, and here's to 5 more after that, and thanks for coming.
Great chatting, Scott. Thanks.